content coming out this summer after Florida Governor Ron DeSantis signed a bill to release testimony that was given during his 2006 trial. So that's all going to be coming out with the names of everybody. They want to reveal all the names of people involved because they don't seem to think that they deserve any sort of protection, which is great. So that's where we are at. I have a couple other things coming up, but do you guys want to comment on anything like that real quick? Feel free. Go ahead. Just go around the world, and then we can move on to another topic.
I'll just say the fact that the Blaze journalist, again, it is very true because his main crime was he stood on a bench to record video. That's why he was standing on benches. He was above, and that's part of the riot process. Again, it's the whole. It's we're living in very strange times, in my opinion, and we have to stand up and fight. I am just done with this Gestapo crap.
Yeah, but do you know how dangerous benches are?
Well, depending on what you're doing on the bench.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
The aside from Baker, the other by way of infringement upon the First Amendment that is now big news, and maybe Brent, you're going to get to this later in the show, is Catherine Herridge of CBS News.
Yes.
Where now the Justice Department is going after her, trying to get her to rat out a source, and she's like, "No, I'm not doing it."
Is that the woman who was fired for the Hunter
fired
Biden
from CBS? Yep. Her notes, her information, her laptops, all confiscated, and now the Justice Department is leaning on her, since she no longer has the protections of CBS, leaning on her to rat out a source on some investigations that she was doing, as I understand it, and I could be wrong on this, as I understand she was doing some investigations on Hunter Biden. They want to know who the source was. And she's like, "No, I'm not giving it to you."
No. Yeah, Bert, that's why you don't use Windows at all. Don't use Mac. You use Linux. You just get off. And again, I have it. That's how my systems are set up. I'm set up to just, encrypted, double encrypted computers. That's all I have. Wow. One is triple encrypted. We're living in very strange times now.
Cool.
You have to be very protective of your data. And that's why all the phones you have, everything you click, every click you do, they track it.
Oh yeah.
Everything you touch, everything you do on your phone, they're tracking it. And this is confirmed. AT&T does it. T-Mobile does this. So watch out.
Well, and here's something else that people aren't aware of too. You can do something called a cell phone dump. So basically, like, let's say that a murder happened like near such and such tower or whatever. A prosecutor can go to like the court and say, I want a search warrant for every single cell phone number that was in this vicinity at this time period.
They don't even do that now. They don't even do that now. They don't need a warrant now. They don't need a warrant now. But the FISA courts ruled that. Obama put that in through because, not really Obama's plants, the people that above him did it. So that's why your cell phone, if you leave it on or you turn it off, it's still pinging.
Right. It's
getting information.
So if you want to commit a crime, don't bring your cell phone with you. Just a thought. Because
if you want to do anything at all, don't bring your cell phone with you.
Well, I love recording.
How about don't commit crimes?
No. It's basically, but the thing is, it's a whole idea. Find me the man, I'll give you the crime. That's the whole thing they're doing. They don't care. Everything is a crime.
Adam, telling people not to commit crimes is racist. Some people they really need things, and sometimes you just got to steal the things.
Okay,
they're just stealing bread.
Some of us,
they're equalizing by taking from the oppressors.
No, it's not stealing. It's creative acquisition. There's a difference.
It's called a 5-finger discount. I mean, they're gonna bring the stuff back when they're done with it.
Yeah, they're just borrowing it.
They're just borrowing.
Yeah, it's
fine.
Yeah, it's just.
But you can't tell people not to steal. They're disenfranchised groups. They have a right.
Okay, Daniel. Moving on. The other thing that happened this week that was major was which I thought was pretty amazing, was how the media fabricated the entire narrative about the death of this girl. whatever her name was,
Next.
Audrey or Next, whatever her name was.
That was
Next.
this person's
Fabricated the
name.
entire narrative. She's supposedly this non-binary girl that was beat to death in a bathroom. Turns out she poured water on some girls because she didn't like what they were saying about her. They got into a little kerfluffle. They went to the hospital, whatever. She was fine afterward, but then, a couple of days later, she died. And it's not clear what the circumstances are. It's either, drug overdose potential or suicide. It's one or the other, frankly.
The fact that we don't know yet what caused her death and that the story has just disappeared. Come on.
Yeah, it's very suggestive of either suicide or fentanyl, which are the two things that the media is trying to do.
Well, for me, it's all about their mantra
if it
is
was suicide, they would have blasted that everywhere.
Yeah, I feel like they would.
Yeah, if it was suicide, they would have blasted that she killed herself because she was bullied.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go with that. It's probably fentanyl because like with Susan Wojcicki's, was it her grandson or son? How he recently died of an overdose, and that is like radio silent. To the most part, I think it's a blip for like half a day.
What about Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law also died mysteriously?
Really?
Yeah, Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law. Yeah. Again, the Clintons cleaning up. They're getting ready.
I wonder if Nex was vaccinated. Was Nex vaccinated? I want to know if Nex was vaccinated.
Oh, that's another one. Yeah.
Died suddenly.
Mm-hmm.
Fell at 11.
Died suddenly.
But I'm totally astounded by the media's ability to just like completely fabricate a story whole cloth and then get caught like red-handed in the process. And then the whole thing just vanishes.
But I also think it's starting to speak to the power that social media is acquiring in this respect. There was a time, I know I just hit the target. I got the lean back finger point. That I jokingly told him one time, I said, that's when you know you've hit the target, when you get the lean back finger pop.
Oh, okay. I'll watch for it.
Anyway, yeah, that's when you know you're over the target. When he gives you one of those, you're on target. No, it speaks to the power of social media in that there was a time, and I agree with you completely on this, that the media could spin a story and it would go unchallenged. And they had enough money and power to push it out there and flood the arena of ideas, and did it so hard, so fast, and so loud, you never had the time or never took the time to look at it, analyze it, define its truthfulness, etc. Now it's reaching the point the media throws a story out there. Guys like us, to various degrees, to various ways, are analyzing this and saying, you're full of crap. And here's why you're full of crap.
Well,
and then all of a sudden it's like, boom, it blows up.
I just wanted to say, did anyone else notice all these journalists who were losing their jobs? I think I was really, I'm sorry. I was excited. I think that's great. I think they contribute nothing. They don't do any deep dives. By the way, I have a
Audra, journalists are oppressed. Okay?
They're not journalists anymore. They're no.
Audra, you're gonna get Taylor Lorenz after you. You better stop. Pump the brakes there. Taylor Lorenz will come for you.
Journalists' lives matter.
There are no more journalists. That's the whole point. They're just news readers. They get the corporate talking points and they spew it out. They all are saying the same thing. Investigative journalism. There are only a few people out there that do this.
Yeah.
Alex Jones, Drew Hernandez, all of the stuff, and that's basically nobody else.
Well, I did a deep dive opinion piece, believe it or not, about the Jennifer Crumbly trial that should be coming out soon. But what was interesting to me was talking to people about okay, well, did you watch the trial? And they'd tell you, well, no, and I'm like, okay, but you seem to have a really strong opinion about this. Like, did you watch the trial? And they'd be like, no. And so I did. I actually took 6 days to watch the trial. And I feel like journalists don't do that anymore.
Nope.
You know what I mean? No. They don't take 6 days to watch a trial from start to finish and then report on it. It's all whatever they feel like.
They asked ChatGPT what the opinion should be, and they report it.
And to me, folks like Megan Fox, the folks from LawTube, all the others. I'm sorry, do what?
No, Megan Fox is so creepy.
Really?
Yeah. Oh wait, Different
I
Megan
mean,
Fox.
Different Megan
no,
Fox.
the
Oh,
actress.
Not that Megan Fox. You're right. She's just that chick is out there. Okay, but
I was gonna say, like Megan Fox, like she's as wholesome as Audra. Like, I mean,
different Megan Fox.
yeah,
Totally.
Yeah,
our,
I mean,
our,
well,
you know, our
yeah, not too
Fox-
Megan Fox.
Yeah, shout out Megan Fox. She'll watch a trial and just absolutely do what the old journalists used to do, and that's just chew through the thing. But you're right. I mean, by and large, they'll go to Chat GPT or whatever and get their cliff notes and be like, "Well, here's what happened." No, you didn't even bother to watch.
Yeah, the whole idea of Google Gemini and what it did, and they had to shut it down, proves the fact. Again, all these algorithms are actually proprietary. So you basically take the code and implement it in. No one is writing the code anymore. The AI is doing it. It's like the data internet theory. So it creates all these issues and problems. And it's doing the same thing now with journalism. People are just getting things from one source. It's the illusion of choice. You only have the narrative from the mainstream media and from Hollywood and from big pharma and big government and global governments. They speak one language, and then you have the resistance, us, what we're trying to do here, real journalism, real commentary, and saying, what the fuck? No, the sky is not purple. 2 + 2 is not 5, and we have to change this. This is how we're doing it, and I do it every day. I had I think I'm on the list, and I'm proud to be on their watch list. I did a stream, and I did a simulcast of that stream. That stream talked about Fauci. My simulcast got flagged, and I got a warning, but the other one did not, because I'm on the list. And come after me, YouTube. I don't give a fuck. You're fucking pieces of shit. You're a $1 billion company coming after me. Come after me, baby. I'm going to go to Rumble and go on X. You can't stop me. I'm done with this shit. I am done.
That's why I'm going to take a minute just to thank Rumble and X for hosting this stream. Free speech, completely free. We do not censor ourselves here. This is why I'm not on YouTube right now.
Rumble, please don't become like YouTube, because if you do, we'll just fucking go to another platform, because it's annoying. It's crazy, the stuff Brent and I the hoops we had to jump through to get the channel
I was gonna say, it's soon to be dangerous rhetoric gaming on Kick.
It could be. It very well could be.
Yeah.
Well,
it's crazy.
I mean, Kick, for every seen Kick is pretty dang good for. I mean, it just certain words, certain gamer words you can't drop, and that's pretty much the rule.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
I say all the words.
I mean, things are a little better on YouTube. It's definitely not as crazy as it was. Like 2020, 2021, and 2022 were insane with the censorship.
It's coming
back.
back.
Facebook, on Instagram, and I feel like Twitter too is it's regressing a bit now.
Why don't we transition?
We'll lead into that.
To the topic of misgendering policy allegedly coming back on X.
Yeah, that was.
There was some murmur this week about X quietly reinstating its misgendering policy. There was a lot of loud complaint about it and some testing of the boundaries. Daddy Elon is now saying that the change in the policy is really about, like, what he said was sort of like specific, repeated, targeted harassment against one individual, which doesn't really make sense to me, because if you are experiencing repeated targeted harassment on X, there's a feature called the block feature where you can click a button and block the person so that you never have to see or interact with them again. They can't interact with any of your content. They can go onto an alt and use that and do that. And I've, as somebody who said, unpopular, controversial things and have had people obsess and sling very nasty comments in my general direction, I've used the block feature a lot, and I'm very thankful for the block feature. And yes, whatever, like, people will come back at you with their alt, but you know what? You block that account too. And if they come at you with another one, you block that one too. And like, it's not a big deal. You get past it. And these things also tend to blow over within 24 to 48 hours. So if you're experiencing any sort of like dogpiling on your social media, you just, put it to bed, stay off the internet for 2 days, and, forget it, lock it up, and you're fine. So it's not that big of a deal.
I also think we should probably get to the root of an issue of why, like, as a society, we feel like there are members of our society who feel like they can't just ignore somebody saying something that they disagree with. Like, why can't you just block that person and move on with your life? I don't understand that.
Well, see, that's a problem. It's not about just blocking them; it's about destroying them. That the group of tolerance can't tolerate anything else. That, I mean, I was in a Discord and I posted something. Someone said something insulting to me. It was actually I posted something I cooked, and it said it looks like someone with a cocaine habit sneezed on your pasta. And all I said is, "Bro, I didn't cook for you." And they had this absolute meltdown, wanting me to apologize for misgendering them, and I absolutely refused to. And they basically threatened to punch a ticket to Greenland, if you know that, to unalive, because I was refusing to apologize. And then, and I wouldn't be kicked from the Discord. And I'm just like, this is really what it comes down to. They are not happy unless they are controlling. And that's really what I like. We talked about a little bit earlier with the pronouns. It's not accommodation. It's you can never be polite or enough like nice enough, because I've seen countless TikToks where if you don't use my pronouns, you won't even talk about me, kind of thing. And it's really, that's what it comes down to, that there's a few people like in gaming spheres, like gaming streamers that are trans, and they lead these giant brigades against somebody that they feel slighted by. And instead of just blocking that creator or blocking that creator's followers, they need to get that other creator banned. They need to get him kicked off all social media, because that's the only way that they can assert their dominance. I mean, how many times do you see people like, oh, enjoy the ratio? It's like, well, enjoy your internet points. It doesn't really matter in real life. And that's where they try to destroy you overall.
Right. And
I think my little screed there.
Well, no. And I was talking to some, because I have quite a few RadFem followers as well, and a few people who specialize in domestic violence. And one of the things that somebody who's an abuser will do is that if you try to leave or whatever, they'll threaten to kill themselves. And so to me, like when this whole thing was going on, oh, if you don't use my pronouns, I'll kill myself. It just came off very manipulative and like very controlling and very like an abuser would do. And I'm shocked by how many people fall for this, and they just feel sorry for the person, like, oh no, please don't do that,
No
and
sympathy.
I'm like, no, this is a controlling, abusive person. This is not somebody who's I don't believe it. First of all, I don't believe any of these people are actually getting killed themselves. I don't believe it. I don't believe that anybody has ever killed themselves over like somebody not using a pronoun. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. Like I don't believe people are that crazy. I think they're that manipulative though.
Yes.
So
yeah, really, I'm going to say this, and it's going to be unpopular. But what a lot of trans people do is the DABRO, the divert, attack, reverse, victim, and offender. That you could have a trans person coming at you hard online, and they've already laid the narrative and the foundation. You are the abuser, so their attacks against you are justified. And it can just be for the slightest thing. It doesn't matter what it is, but because they are so oppressed, they are justified in what they're doing to you. And and like you said, it's an abuse tactic. That this person, how I wouldn't back down and saying, all I said is, bro, I didn't cook for you, and I didn't say anything else gendered. They resorted to threatening to unalive themselves if I wasn't kicked from the Discord, and that was, it's kind of like, in a way, it's the same thing. They're reversing it. Instead of like, if you leave, I'll kill myself, but if you don't get this person out of here, I'm gonna kill myself. And it's really, it goes back to, it's like, are you sure this isn't mental health based at the, if we bring it down to the base level, that this is not a purely mental health issue that you're dealing with, that it's one of those things that's there's so much narcissism that's baked into this, that, we even talked about trans people earlier, and I was thinking about, in my teenage years, like, in Minneapolis and Uptown, I knew quite a number of trans people who lived their lives and they didn't want any special attention. And now in my college town, there's this weirdo guy who's like as old as I am and as hairy as I am, who goes around in like a spaghetti like top, and like bikes and like spreads his arms like this and like bikes down the street. I'm like, you want attention, this
like a
person
fetish.
I can remember.
Fetish.
Yeah, well, that's
It's
what
a
it is.
fetish. It is
Yeah.
a
I
fetish.
mean-
And also, like, I remember reading a study that said 88% of trans-identified people had a personality disorder, and 53% was narcissistic personality disorder. So that right off the rip, I was like, oh, that explains a
Well,
lot.
I mean, there's also I just read a study too, and this is my problem with like vaguely recalling factual information. That a study came out that a lot of people who identify as non-binary are also on the autism spectrum.
Yes.
They're
So
on
like
the,
I said, I've read the study. I just can't remember where the study's from or what it's. But that's what I think comes down to the problem is that, you know, I can think of like when I did my pastoral studies, I did an internship. That part I went to a metropolitan community church, which is a gay church, and there was a transgender woman there, and just wanted to live their life, you know, go about, and never wanted any extra attention or any special thing. And I recently went back and checked on the church, and they had the whole thing about, oh, well, gender is a spectrum because when God created the day and the night, that included, you know, the dawn and the evening. And it's like, oh man, this church, it's like this church was bad to begin with, but really, this is where we are, and that's what it is. It's like this catering and caving, like if you. And it's like Audra said, I feel it's like you're in this parasocial abusive relationship with these people that if you cave, they take more. If you stand up, they go that route to control the situation. And it's scary.
every time I've tried to get I saw your message, Brentley. Every time I've tried to get close to a trans person, it's always backfired into my face. Every single time. So I mean, I'm not quite at Age of the Empress level where she says no pet troons. Like, that's her policy. That's what she says. She's like, no pet troons. I wonder what she's like in person, by the way, but she's across the pond. So
as much as I love talking about trannies, we are tight on time. So we have a hard cutoff in about 45 minutes from now, just FYI. Daniel and I have to record
a formal episode. Yeah.
A formal episode about
will
what?
Not be streamed. It's about Portland.
We're going to talk about Portland. We're going to have two special guests on, one of whom has been on the show before, and the other one has not. Both of them are photojournalists and renegade, you know, renegade documenters.
I wanted to get to the Hunter Biden testimony because it happened real quick. And it was like behind a closed door, you know, session of Congress. Yeah. They're going to make his actual testimony public at some point. I don't know if it's happened yet. I haven't checked. But I did want to get your reactions because it was really funny the way that the different sides responded to it, because the Democrats, as the testimony was going on, so it's not even done. He was in front of Congress for like 8-10 hours, long time. He sat.
Yeah, about 10 hours.
And you know, at the first break, the Democrats like ran out to like get to the media and just be like, "It's a nothing burger, like whatever you guys do. There's like nothing here. It's really nothing. It's nothing, like whatever." And it was just so obvious that they were just trying to like, you know, maintain that Overton window of baseless accusation, nothing burger, et cetera, et cetera. And when Jim Jordan came out later, he was like, you know, it's really interesting that my Democrat colleagues have said that there's nothing here. He's like, there's this piece of evidence that matches up with this bank statement, and you know, Hunter denied this thing, but then we countered it with this piece of evidence. So like the Republicans have their ducks in a fucking row, and the Democrats are panicked. So I just wanted to see if you guys got any information on that, what your responses were. We can, you know, go around the table.
I didn't see it at all, so I'm gonna not comment.
I mean, I saw part of it where they. Oh, sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, like I saw part of it where they challenged Biden on some of the testimony that came out, and like Biden just did the double down of, oh, that's not true, kind of stuff. Like I did see a clip of that, and I'm like, I'm just like, what?
Well, that's what Sleepy Joe is going to do, you know, and it was as evidenced during the Robert Hur, you know, report and his thing. He basically said Biden doesn't remember a whole lot of anything, and there's really no way that they could prosecute him because he would just come off as like a bumbling, well-intentioned, incompetent old man. And it's like, well, if that's the current stat, like if he can't prosecute him because he's incompetent, How can he be
How do you
president?
even
of
come
the
I
back?
United
I believe the specific quote
How do you
was
even
a
come back from that?
sympathetic, well-meaning elderly man with a poor memory.
Yes. That-
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
I was
do you
just
even
listening to
come
Vince
back
Dow
from that?
episode of that, like where he was covering what Destiny was on Piers Morgan show with Tommy Lauren, and I just like this is. I mean that quote has gone around the world and back by this point. It's just like we look all the weaker for it.
So I was pulling up a story about the Hunter Biden thing, because I remembered I'd read something about one of these congressmen saying that the Democrats are actually saying to have a public hearing. It was Jerry Connolly of Virginia, who's a
Yeah.
Democrat,
Mhm.
and he said go on and have a public hearing and that they welcome it. So
Be careful what you ask for, fellas, because you know if you really want to do this, that's fine. But keep in mind, everything you guys are hearing behind closed doors, we can put out and everybody can hear it, and the court of public opinion will absolutely decide on it.
I don't know how Biden comes back from, by the way, you're so mentally incompetent that I can't hold you accountable for your actions. Like, how do you come back from something
it's
like
also
that?
it's the most.
Oh, I got more than you did, front porch concern. I got
But
this.
it's
I got
also
this for
it's the
like-
most obvious like contradiction like that. Her report alone should have made everyone realize that Biden's presidency is a sham. It's like, so
Yeah,
wait,
it's over.
you just
Who-
determined that the president is not fit and competent enough to stand trial, but he's still fit and competent enough to serve a second term?
Yeah.
No,
Well, the
But you have to-
delusion
I mean-
is the delusion that we're being proffered by the people is this. We're getting like the two different sides of the mouth at the same time. On one hand, we're being told that Biden is senile, mentally incompetent. It's obvious if you look at him, he stutters in front of the camera. Then on the other hand, we're getting told this narrative that he's actually like super shrewd, like very critical, like behind closed doors, he's very incisive. And so it's like, which is it? Like, is he totally senile, incompetent, or is he like pulling a Kaiser Soze in order to be, perceived as, weak so that he can secretly be, it's weird.
Well, here's a fun stat from gerontology class, because I have a bachelor's of applied health science and I had to take gerontology. And I love using my degree every now and again. I don't get the opportunity to very often. But something like 80% of people, once they reach past, I think it's 85, end up with some form of dementia. And like the idea that all of the signs that he's showing to me of dementia, like, I don't know how he could fake that so perfectly. You know what I mean? Like the shuffling walk, the sundowners, the stammering, the not remembering people, mentioning dead people and stuff. Like forgetting where Mexico was for a second, like with the Gaza Strip, like the whole thing. He's like a walking, talking dementia textbook.
But you have to. But here's what the media is doing. The media is doing the following. If you saw what happened, they immediately came out and said that this is uncalled for. This reports done by the Republicans and all that stuff. But then the second thing they did is that the mainstream media then started basically saying how incompetent Trump is and did clips of Trump being incompetent. So they're basically mashing up both facts, the report and then showing Trump. So they're trying to basically anybody. Well, I say 95% of people in America are uninformed. They don't only see the news; they believe what it says. So they're mixing these things up, and they're getting people confused. So when I talk to a liberal, they basically will say, "Yeah, Trump's too old to be president." They'll say that because they heard about the fact that they thought it was Trump that was talking about. So in their mind, that's all they hear. And that's all they're being told. It's the hive mind download that they're getting. So basically, we see the truth because we're seeing all reporting from all sides, but they are only getting the download from TikTok, from Facebook, from to a certain extent on YouTube, and then from the mainstream media, the news that they're getting it. So we're dealing with it's an uphill battle, dealing with incompetent people who don't know what they're talking about, and incompetent people who don't want to be engaged and are being troubled all the time with things they need to do, putting food on the table, going to work, and really trying to live their lives. But it's all 2024 is to be wild. We're on it. We're just in March right now. We just got here.
Well, yeah, you mentioned TikTok. I saw this clip going viral from CPAC where Trump was addressing the organizer's wife, Mercedes, and people trying to spin it like he forgot Melania's name and called her Mercedes, and it's just so well edited.
Yes.
That looks like Trump called Melania Mercedes, but it's that soundbite that people are latching onto, like, oh, look, Trump has dementia too. Trump is beginning things too, and it's like, like I actually had the exchange with somebody. I'm like, give me play the full clip, then come back at me, and like they blocked me. So I'm like,
yeah, they don't want to hear it.
Yeah,
who's running the presidency now? Because we know his ass isn't doing anything.
Obama is the rumor.
Obama's a puppet too of the globalists.
Well, exactly, but that's the rumor is that Obama is running Biden.
Yeah, there are certain moments and not just in a political campaign, but in life that are like defining markers. And the day that report dropped was the day that, if anybody wondered, will America ever see that the emperor is not wearing clothes? That's the day it finally happened, because you cannot have two things be true simultaneously. You can't on the one hand say he's fully competent, he can be the president, there's nothing wrong with him, he's perfectly fine, and on the other hand say, yeah, but if he's done something illegal, we couldn't prosecute him anyway because he'd come off to most people as being an old man who can't remember anything. I mean, they cannot both be equally true.
He forgot his son's death. He forgot when his son died. That's what the report said. Like, this man has lost it. The wheel is spinning, but the hamster is dead.
And you can tell, the White House so badly mishandled that, because all they would have had to have done, I mean, if that would have been incorrect, immediately the White House would have put out the tapes of the deposition, because they were recorded. That's all they would have had to have done. But you'll notice the White House wouldn't even do that.
Just like how Kamala's like, well, he's so with it behind closed doors. And Jon Stewart, because I was watching Jon Stewart for some reason, because I remember him being funny. He's not that funny. Anyway, so he was well, can you show us tapes of him being, leading in the back room and everything? Not, I want a cookie. Like, show us like an actual tape of him being a leader.
Did Nancy Pelosi do the same thing? Was it MSNBC when she goes on and that behind closed doors meeting, he's very sharp and very astute on the global politics?
Sharp. There was a talking point that Biden is sharp, and you play clips of media talking heads being like, Biden's sharp, sharp. Like, you heard it it was ridiculous. It was on Twitter like a week ago.
This one British lady, she was like, well, everything that Biden's accomplished. I'm like, what has he accomplished? Like,
open border.
Tell me what he's accomplished.
He saved. Listen, Audra, you're not understanding. He saved Ukraine's democracy.
Ukraine isn't even a democracy. Did you see that? By the way, Ukraine isn't even a democracy. They're finally outright admitting that now. I was like,
I heard that's fake
the elections were suspended due to the war. Like, that's been a thing for a while. Totally. And we're also paying Ukrainian pensions, by the way. We're paying, the American taxpayers are paying for the pensions of Ukrainian citizens that should be being paid by the Ukrainian government. We're covering that for y'all, just FYI.
Can I say something about Ukraine for a second?
Go for it.
All right. I've never seen this before since paying attention to politics, and I've been paying attention at least 15 or so years, longer than that. I've never seen a leader of another country come into the United States, speak in front of the federal government, so senators and congressmen, begging for money, and then they leave. The media catches up with the politicians, and I can't remember which politician. I wish to God I remembered. But they had the camera on him, and he said, "We got to give them the money."
Romney,
never fucking seen that.
Lindsey Graham. It was Romney or Graham or one of those idiots.
I think it
No,
was
and like-
actually, I would have remembered that. I think it was somebody else. But
and they never tell you why. They're like, well, why do we have
we
to
just
give
gotta
them the
give it to
money?
them.
They don't have an answer. It's like, we just
Well,
gotta
no,
give it to
the-
them.
the rationale is that
Russia bad. Russia's gonna do what
Well,
Hitler
no.
did and take over Europe. That's
No.
Yeah,
that's
it's that
the
you
reasoning
can't-
they give.
Yeah, that if
I stand with
Ukraine
Russia.
falls, it will then be Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania,
Poland.
which
Poland,
are NATO
they're also
countries.
considered
Saying he's
And-
gonna invade Poland. It's gonna be World War II all over again. That's what I keep hearing from people, at least.
Well, they're treating Ukraine like it's a NATO country when it's not a NATO country, and
Yes.
that's the problem.
Well, that's something I find so funny is like from Tanky Twitter that you have a bunch of people saying how not like fascists started World War II, socialism ended it, and now with Ukraine it's reversed as though like Russia is Nazi Germany and Ukraine is Russia from World War II. It's just
and
like
they hate each other.
like part of me is like, do you understand what you're saying? Like I mean, I don't get Tankies like the people who are like apologists for like socialism and communism at like anything. It's like Russia's still Russia. It's still mostly communist socialist. Like do you understand like you flip the chessboard, but the pieces are still the same. Do you not know what you said? And it was like giving me a headache at times. They're like,
Russia's more nationalist than anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah,
No,
Brent,
I feel like the line between Nazi and socialist is kind of thin, in my opinion. But
No,
they
it's
like
very-
to
it's very-
pretend that they're
extremely
different
clear.
to each other. But like, I don't think they're that different.
They're
Like,
they're the same.
yeah, Brent mentioned a second
the
ago
name,
that
Nazi.
that
Nazi
Ukraine
National
is
Socialists.
not. Yeah, that Ukraine is not a NATO country, and that's the problem. Well, that's more true than the whole world realizes. NATO wants Ukraine as part of the alliance, and the Russians have said, no, don't put NATO up against our border. If you boil it all down, that one statement is what this whole thing is all about. NATO keeps pushing it. The Russians have been saying for 30 years, we don't want NATO up on our border. All you got to do is give us a buffer zone between us and Western Europe. But NATO is so bound and determined to have Russia under their thumb, they're going to keep pushing the issue. And finally, Putin's like, the hell with this. I've had enough.
Yep.
The eastern
and
part
I
of
also
Ukraine
heard,
belongs to us
too-
anyway.
I also heard too from a friend of mine that apparently Ukraine isn't very nice to ethnic Russians.
No.
True.
Like there's some of that going on
Yep.
too. And so I couldn't figure out why. And then I remembered, oh yeah, Ukraine has a bunch of Nazis in it, and Nazis don't like Soviets. They don't
Correct.
like each other.
Correct.
So like it started to make more sense to me. Like, oh, that's why. And what's interesting is I got blocked by a conservative commentator for pointing this out because I posted a picture, article from Reuters as like Ukraine's Nazi problem, and it was published right before this whole this war broke out. And of course, he blocked me right away, and I was like, that sucks. But I just wanted to let him know that yeah, Ukraine has a bunch of Nazis in it.
Yeah, when the war first broke out, meaning when Russia first invaded, Brent and I were immediately like, hello guys, like this is way more complicated than what the media is telling you. Like here's all this context from 2008 to 2014 that you should know about. There are Nazis here, et cetera, et cetera. Pissed a lot of people off. Oh, you Putin sympathizer, he's a dictator. You guys are terrible.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I find so funny is that how many like pro socialist democratic socialists who fall on commie Twitter profiles have the Ukrainian flag. It's like I said, it's just kind of like what like
the
do you understand what
they understand
that's why I just go down and calling them tankies, because they're going to defend the socialism to no matter what cognitive dissidence they have to hold.
Yeah, and they're doing the same thing with Trump and with Putin. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. That's all you're saying, because that's the line they're going to do with Trump. And again, I hear people saying it. If Trump wins, he's going to be a dictator. He's going to not going to be president for life. And wait, are you guys insane?
Yeah.
No.
But what's funny is it's like, bro, you were saying that in 2016, and none of that happened, and none of it happened.
Wait, you know what's funny about the Trump is a dictator narrative? So I sometimes get these crazy text messages from this one lady who's like a QAnon She believes all this stuff. But what's funny is that the stuff that she tells me makes Trump sound like a dictator. So it's like they want Trump to be a dictator. So one side says he is a dictator and he isn't. The other side, who likes him, says we want him to be a dictator. So I actually
Well, I mean, here's my question. I mean, you guys keep saying that Trump or anybody else other than your guy is the dictator. I have a question. Who's jailing their political opponents right now? Oh, I'm sorry, that's Biden. Who's trying to get journalists thrown in jail or hold them in contempt?
Biden.
Oh, that's Biden's Justice Department. Oh, who's trying to stifle free speech as much as possible, not just among journalists, but just the average citizen? Oh, I'm sorry, that's the current administration.
Honestly, like, you don't even need to list any of that stuff. What really should have woke people up is the fact that all Jan 6 was a couple rowdy people who went into the Capitol and they had some flagpoles and a couple of them had like mace or some shit. And like there was some scuffling and, you know, some broken windows and that's it. If Trump was actually a dictator, he would have, one, actually been behind that. Two, all those people would have been armed and they would have stormed that building and fucking actually captured all the politicians and did a real insurrection. But he didn't do that. He backed away, you know, he even disavowed the violence. So it's just like, to me, that was the ultimate proof. It's like, wait, guys, this guy isn't a dictator. Like
the whole thing was a charade.
Yeah.
Oh,
Crazy.
Yeah.
No, I think it's funny that Democrats pretend, like my one friend told me that when an average Republican goes into office, like a pretty moderate Republican, like that's the dirty secret. Trump is actually pretty moderate on a lot of his policies and things. And they even a moderate Republican is like too much for these people.
Yeah.
They just melt down immediately, like the shrieking.
Mr. Adam Coleman has to
being a Republican. Period.
Mr. Adam's gonna pop off, so I wanted to just say goodbye and thank you, Adam. You wanna
Adam, appreciate
you wanna
it.
drop any hints, you know, articles in the works, where people can find your stuff? Tell them where
Are you still working on a second book?
Yes, with a question mark.
Okay.
Yeah, slowly. There's so much going on. But yeah, people can check me out. Go to my Substack, adambcoleman.substack.com, or you can go to adambcoleman.com, whichever one's easier for you. And my Twitter @wrong_speak.
Cool. Awesome.
Great. Thanks for coming by, Adam.
Thanks,
nice
Adam.
To see you.
Later, dude.
Oh, and I'll be on Talk TV tomorrow morning. So if you guys want to tune in, if you miss it, I'll post clips on my Substack.
Awesome.
But we're going to be talking about Super Tuesday, and how fucking uneventful Super Tuesday is going to be. Sorry. So
Definitely
I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. Later, Adam.
Later.
Later, sir.
Peace.
Yeah, it's a good transition into the topic of Nikki Haley and her constant loserness. It's just
why is she still there?
Well, that's a good question. Now, somebody.
Now, wait a minute. Before we go further, I have to thank you right now, Brent. I mean, I've got a lovely lady on one side of me, a lovely lady on the other. I feel like a thorn between two roses. This is great for my
This actually might be our first stream where there's more straight people now than gay.
Fancy.
Oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You guys outnumber us.
Seriously. Yeah, Adam,
Like real life.
I think we're outnumbered, Brent. Fuck.
We're gonna come get you, and I'm gonna come get you with my hatefulness.
Oh no, you're taking my rights away.
Throw me into the baby farm and make me have sex with ladies so that I can.
You're being marginalized, guys. You're being marginalized.
I feel so marginalized. I need more representation. I'm sorry, man. I just can't. That word is one of those words that I'm
representation.
So tired. Yeah, I'm so tired of it. Like that and community, like those two.
Cliche. Cliche is the enemy of art and originality and everything that is good about humanity and culture.
And also, we had already achieved peak representation for the most part in the 90s. Like we did that already. And you didn't have to like force it or whatever. It was just normal. We just did.
And it was amazing. We had content like Will and Grace. We had content like Ellen. You know, we had like, it was just obvious and
it
included.
Looked organic too. Like I feel like some of this stuff that they're
So
pushing
forced.
now. It's like, yes.
It's
And
forced.
it's like the worst people in the world. Like I was talking about Miss Rachel, and I noticed her ladest episode dropped
Wait.
her non-binary friend.
Which one, Levine or
Maddow?
Maddow?
No, Miss Rachel. She's a children's singer and songwriter and stuff.
Oh.
And my daughter
I don't even know who
loves
this
her.
Okay.
Yes, my daughter loves her. And she had this person on who like is supposedly non-binary, but worst person, like so boring. Like the most boring person. Like my daughter would literally like take her little hand because she's 14 months old and just go, you know, and I was like, okay, well, we'll fast forward through her. Okay. Like,
Wow.
and I noticed the newest episode just completely got rid of this person. But yeah, no, it's like they find the worst people they can find. And then if you point this out, if you say this person's terrible, they accuse you of being like a transphobe or a homophobe or something else. Like,
Because it's like sex lactics. Like that person's probably either sleeping with or somebody involved in the show wants to sleep with that person. So that's how they get these people pulled in as like adjacent.
I'm going to quote Blair White that any non-binary person looks like they smell like hot dog water.
They do. And it's like, why? Why do you look like this? This girl looks like she didn't bathe. And she'd be like
seriously,
wearing, like,
it's just one of those things
shirts, like playing the guitar. I was like, why? Why are you
half of them look like just the epitome of society's rejects, and the other half look like they're trying like really bad anime cosplay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a made-up gender, it's a personality trait, and it doesn't cover for poor hygiene. Just
no, she was always, her hair was straightening. She had this weird Hawaiian shirt on, and she'd be like, "Okay, kids, you want to hear a song?" And then it was like, "Oh my daughter would be like, lady. No, I don't want to hear no song. I want Miss Rachel back. Where's Miss Rachel?"
But you know what? It's not totally surprising one of those people would end up on a show like that, because they are basically just perpetual kids. Like they have Peter Pan syndrome. They're people who refuse to grow up. They're stuck in some form of adolescent, and they're stuck in their like pretend imagination phase, like they're a little kid. You know, like we're gonna pretend. Let's pretend.
Coming for your children.
Except to them, we have to all pretend along with them, or else.
No.
Or else.
No.
Yeah.
Never.
So that was the very interesting things about recent stuff. As I transition poorly into another topic. Oh, did you see that friend of the show, Christopher Falker, is running for the city council in Burlington, Vermont? He is the chair of the Burlington Republican group up there, and they have the elections are coming up, so he's gonna run and try to get on the council, and he'll be the only like conservative if he wins. He probably won't win. But
hang on, is his election Tuesday night? That's when Vermont's holding the primaries.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be in a bit, because I just saw that his campaign was just announced.
Okay,
I donated a few dollars to him.
Yay!
I like Chris.
Oh, Daniel, you're so sweet.
Chris he's good. You know, having spoken with him and spent time with him when we visited Vermont, and I'm just like, you're so real for a politician. I even told him that. I was like, I normally don't like politicians, but that guy is really fighting the good fight over there in Burlington.
Well, he puts himself on the line. We went out there to protest the assault of Fred Sargent, like back in 22, 23. I'm getting my years confused.
Yeah. You can tell, like, he's not doing it for the popularity contest. That's not what it's about for him.
Well, like, you can see, like, here he is, like, holding up the, it's all human female, surrounded by like the gender Borg.
Crazy.
That was a very fun day. Like,
him and like Disaffected are like the dream team over there. They are holding the line over there amongst everyone else. It's these three faggots.
Yes. Faggots holding the line of straight people and lesbians and their bullshit.
Yes. And it's just like, come on, man. Like, they need some support. Where are the straight men? Come on, dads. Get out there.
Speaking of gay men, I'm convinced that Andrew Tate's gay. Okay.
You and everyone else.
That man's
What?
gay.
Well,
He's
so
gay.
but Tate is a psychopath, and psychopaths don't actually have sexual
They
orientation.
just sleep.
It's
It's
the
like
way that,
they're sexual opportunists.
yeah, they're sexual opportunists and sexual sadists. So, and it varies depending on their.
Psychopaths don't have a sexual orientation.
Well, I mean, they do, but just put it this way: like, if a psychopath has to like pretend to be into someone to get something out of them, they're gonna do that.
Well, yeah,
And they can do it very well and convincing, even if so. Like it's questionable. Like we think of sexual orientation as a regular pattern of behavior that is just who we're normally attracted to. They don't have attraction like we do. They more when they are attracted to power, and so the way that they use sex is not as an expression of love and affection. It's a means of coercion and control.
It's also just like
domination.
It's also just like a hunger, an appetite thing. They don't view it as like anything like, oh, I'm going to connect with this person. Like, that doesn't exist for them.
No.
I was thinking about, I'm trying to hobble together a bunch of therapists to talk about sex offenders on Twitter. We'll see if I'm successful in that.
I want to
therapists who follow me, and I was like, you know what? I want to get the 4 of you together.
I had a similar idea, but about homicide detectives. I really want to find a homicide detective who's willing to come on Dangerous Rhetoric and to talk with us about their job. Preferably someone from a big city who's actually seen shit and dealt with, crazy shit.
Mark Furman.
Yeah. Is he a homicide detective?
But
Mark
no,
Furman.
Andrew Tate's gay. And
he was on the OJ case years ago. You want big city homicide detective? Furman.
That would be very controversial too, because didn't he get convicted of like falsely planting evidence or something?
That's what they tried to accuse him of.
I can't remember.
It doesn't even have to be. It doesn't have to be someone notable like that or anything. Just someone experienced.
His story would be interesting to tell anyway.
But I was watching a lot of true crime stuff, and that was where I came up with the idea.
Bradley wants us to move on.
I do, because we're running low on Tempest Fugit here.
Dictator Brentley.
Yeah.
Also, I saw this story that went viral, and maybe just a PSA moment. Don't go traveling in third world countries without like a guide and like preparation. Because I saw this viral video of this couple.
Don't go to India.
They went backpacking in India and like ended up getting like assaulted, and the wife got gang raped, and it echoed.
God, Radar.
He's like barking at a cat.
Even Radar's upset about this news.
Prancing across my back deck. But and also I've heard stories of people going to Morocco, like backpacking in like Iran or Iran. So like, don't go to the third world, people. Okay, it's not a good idea. Like
go in like a group at least.
Go to Qatar.
Yeah.
Go to
Instagram, and it looked so nice.
But Ibiza, no, Ibiza's not third world. I was thinking Goa. Goa is in
Go to
India.
Qatar. If you want to go to a Muslim country, go to Qatar.
Go to Los Angeles, Oakland. Dubai. I mean, they're third world. I mean,
Dubai.
Los Angeles, Portland, San Francisco. Like, why leave the country when we have the third world here? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I heard Denver has the highest per capita population of illegals in the country, actually, right now, because it's where most of them are settling.
Why would they go to Colorado of all places?
San Francisco.
Radar's gonna get it.
The weed.
Yeah, well, we're about to talk about Portland today and a similar situation over there. But it's like the stuff I hear doesn't make me want to go visit.
Let me tell you guys about this nut job who's running for prosecutor, Cuyahoga County prosecutor. He wants to get rid of cash bail.
Oh no! Hell no! Don't let him do that.
Yeah. And what else does he want to do? Oh, and he wants to stop charging juveniles, basically. So he's another one, and I'm
check
like,
him out. I bet he's
praying to the Lord. I'm like, please do not let this. And of course, he's progressive.
I bet you he's Soros funded.
Oh, I bet he is too. I can't find anything about him. But no, there's this psycho Asian man who's running for Cuyahoga County prosecutor, and he sucks. And I hope he doesn't win because he's literally going to turn Cleveland into Portland, and we're all going to die. So,
Audra, if you want to find out if he's Soros funded, check his campaign finance records. They're probably online, and guarantee you that if you're gonna find out if he's Soros funded, it'll be right there because one of Soros's groups will have dumped money into this guy's campaign. That's how you find out.
yeah. But no, he's crazy getting rid of cash bail. Every place they've gotten rid of cash bail has turned into a third world country. So like, no, like do not get rid of cash bail. So hopefully our Cuyahoga County prosecutor, he wins his reelectable bid. But we'll see.
Yeah, Soros has his hand in so much pies. Like that
I don't
guy's hand
understand
is-
progressives' obsession with cash bail. I don't get it. Like the whole point, like if I put you in jail for $500,000 bail, that means that like you did something terrible and you're a terrible flight risk. So I need you to stay there for an extended
because
period.
they view all criminals as disenfranchised victims, all criminals. And that's basically the progressive leftist way of looking at that.
I mean, yeah.
It's so
like before I fled Minneapolis, I mean, just some of the stuff coming out of there, it's just like I'm gonna say it like criminal was synonymous with black person. That if you said we should lock up criminals, people took it as you want to lock up black people, and it's that mindset of the left that you can't talk about criminal justice reform other than getting rid of cash bail.
Look what happened,
and you're not racist. And then, like, I hate the way it sounds, but it's really that's the conversations that were happening in Minneapolis. And 5 years later, look what Minneapolis is.
Well, I was going to say, look what happened in Kansas City with the Chiefs victory parade, and then the shootout that happened there. The mayor described the shooter as thugs, and he got flack for that. They were saying, "Oh, you know, people were giving him shit for using the word thugs." Like, dude, he's describing people who like shot people as a thug. You can't even say that.
Defending the person that shot someone.
Well, he used the word thugs, and yeah, those people. Well, you could argue they're defending the criminals, but they're upset by the language that is being used to describe them because it sounds racist.
Well, and just like that guy who got shot up on this. Well, the guy who ended up getting choked out on the subway, he had 45 different arrests, and because they got rid of cash bail, they kept letting him out, letting him out.
Still haven't had a toxicology report from him be released publicly.
Yeah,
as by the way.
But just one more thing about like the colloquial way of like viewing criminal and thug as synonymous with black person. It's like that's the left. That's what you guys are doing. You're being racist. You're like you hear this mayor describe a shooter as a thug, and he happened to be Latino or whatever, and you're the one who puts that together as all Latinos are this, or all blacks are that.
They're like waiting for it. They're like waiting for.
It's like a thug is just a thug.
I thought both
white person could be a thug.
In Kansas were black kids.
Yeah.
Were they black? I don't remember. I just remember
they
weren't.
There are white thugs. There's
I believe they were
thugs,
both black
there's
minors.
Thugs,
Yeah.
There's all colors of thugs. Okay, like thug is not a racial identity.
Gotcha. Well, I just remembered they weren't white, and that he got shit for describing them as thugs. So it's like, well, what if they were white and he used that terminology? Would that still be?
Well, but see, he got shit from people who are delusional leftists who don't want to have a conversation. Their criticism is not in good faith, and you can't give it the weight of good faith criticism.
And also, you're describing people who shoot people. People are dead, and your concern is the fact that somebody called somebody a thug. What is wrong with you?
Absurd.
That would be my response. What is wrong with you?
It's like, where are your priorities?
That you're upset about this instead of this. It was just like I was listening to Michael Knowles, and he was talking about how abortion targets the mentally retarded, and he said, and they would criticize me for using the term mentally retarded, like they would attack me for that. And meanwhile, like, anyway, you get the picture. It's like they care more about language than the actual person than their lives.
They control your thoughts and the opinions of others by their control of language. That's why they obsess about the language. They're sticklers about the language. They do rhetorical sleight of hand in order to manipulate and distort the language. Because if you communicate honestly in good faith, all of their bullshit falls apart.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gone because they lie all the time about everything and often in the precise opposite direction of the truth, which is why they hate me, because I'll come along and say shit like feminism is a female supremacy ideology and they'll have a meltdown.
Or you'll say the faggot word. That's
Or I'll
my
say
favorite.
faggot. Yeah, like I'll call myself a faggot. I'll call other gay men faggot because they're engaging in faggot behavior. Like,
Why do you hate yourself, Brent? And why do you hate women? Huh? Who hurt you?
But see, again, you're giving. Why are you? I mean, I don't know why you'd even bother giving a voice. Like, I don't need a leftist foil. So, like, why even like sarcastically present their inane bullshit? Like,
Because you're an oppressor, Brent.
But you're just chewing up airtime with their bullshit. Like,
oh my God, just laugh at the fucking joke. Jesus Christ.
We're short on time, girl.
Short on time. Like, there's 10 minutes left, 15 minutes.
You're not a girl, Brentley.
Seriously, laugh at the joke, bitch.
I misgender myself all the time. Maybe I didn't think it was funny.
I don't give a shit. Okay, respect women.
Wait. Do we the straights need to step out of the room while you two faggots have this thing out? I mean,
Yeah. I feel like the faggots
This
need
is
their
normal.
own time.
Well, we did used to fuck, so there's that.
Oh my God, Brent. Yeah, okay. Throw that out there.
I mean, if it's not obvious, it should be obvious.
I mean, it's in the lore, but
it's in the
lore. You don't gotta like describe
it's in
it.
the lore. We met, and you guys were in your own apartment together.
Right? Exactly.
And I asked you questions about monkeypox because I was confused by it.
Woo,
People were saying crazy shit like people were fucking
it?
their dogs or something.
That's homophobe. You're a homophobe.
10 minutes to
No,
go,
I'm
and it's
serious.
really
That
getting
was what was
spicy
going on
here.
around Twitter. They were like, these dogs are coming up with monkeypox because the gay men are fucking them. I was like, I don't know if that's true. Let me go ask some people. So I was like, hey, Bradley, why are the dogs coming up with the monkeypox?
Hey, token gay friend, can I ask you about
a question? Can I ask you a question about the monkeypox? It was a very entertaining conversation. I learned apparently you can get it through skin-to-skin contact of any kind, and it doesn't have to be sexual. So there you go.
Highly contagious.
So maybe stop calling people dog fuckers when they're not.
Well, that narrative went away very quickly as soon
Ruben
as
just came back.
No, I was listening all this time. And I was on a phone call, so I'm sorry, but I was listening, going, "Oh my!" It's good.
Just like,
I know. I had to do it. Just like, that's my expression when I'm on these streams.
Kind of like the deer in the headlights look like.
We're stunning. As
what do I do with this information? Look.
Anyway,
yeah, well, I learned that all the dogs with the monkeypox are not being sexually abused, so that's good.
And also, I realized, Mr. Rubin, you're like simulcasting us on your YouTube channel. That's risky. Like now that bit in the beginning makes sense. I'm like,
no. I like to promote people. It's the most important thing here. Got to get it out there because again, there's people
risky though because they could very much strike your channel.
Faggot,
I don't care.
Said dog fucker.
Go for it.
About monkeypox.
Go for it.
I'm like trying to think of everything we just said.
Wow,
like,
he really said YouTube. He said, "YouTube, give me a strike, faggot."
Basically,
go for it.
I'm tired. I'm literally tired of the censorship, the misinformation claims, and because again, the internet is free. There are so many people doing horrible things online right now that are perfectly legal. And then yet, if we can have a conversation and talk and have an audience that comes to us and listens to what we're saying, we're not forcing our what we're saying to anybody.
Yeah.
Well, I know we only have a few more minutes, but did any of you guys see that Democrat congressperson or something who was talking about the child sex dolls and how she Googled it? And she was like, oh, well, if the men screw the child sex dolls, they're less likely to screw kids. And
Yes.
I
And it's
asked
not
a very
true. The actual, it's the opposite of the truth.
It's the
and I
opposite.
asked a very important question, like, well, how do you know that they're less likely to screw kids? Like, did you put tracking devices on them? Did you put like a little tracker on their peckers to make sure that they're not, running around with their penises everywhere?
They're what, Lady Audra?
Their
They're
peckers.
Oh,
Did you put a little tracking device on their peckers just to make sure they're not raping the kids? And apparently, these researchers, I'm writing an article about this right now. These researchers listen to pedophiles and they take their word for shit. And then they publish it in like a fucking journal. And they're like, see, the pedophiles say this. And I'm like, yeah, because they're pedophiles.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
My dad used to have an expression for people like these researchers, people who are just smart enough to be stupid.
They're so stupid. I'm like, these pedophiles are laughing at them. They're like, check out what I just told this guy. Ha ha ha.
No, but the researchers are the same people who basically I go back to the idea that it's a segue theoretically, but light bulbs, they could make a light bulb that lasts a long time, but they set it up that they didn't do it. Planned obsolescence happens in products, and then we are a product too. The fact that you have to buy a phone every other 3 years because the updates will get killed, or a computer update has to with a certain amount of time it'll go that way. And this is the same thing. These researchers will say, well, let's do this. Let's tell them they can transition. Let's tell them they can do these things so that they'll be on drugs for the rest of their life. That's why they have the booming business of plastic surgery, Botox, all that stuff. And they're basically saying now TikTok says, okay, get people out there to influence, to get people to take these shots. So you got people at 20 years old, they're building up their clientele. So these researchers now, going back to what we were talking about, will interview and say these things, and then people will believe it. So then they want to basically make pedophilia normalized. And it basically it'll lead to other problems. Then there'll be more industries will be created to profit off people and to destroy lives.
Yeah, I've been calling it a child sexual rights agenda, and
I was going to say
that children are effectively. Yeah, well, it's what they argue basically is that children have the full mental faculties of an adult, and that they have the right to make permanent life-altering decisions based on those perspectives.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, there's that Slate article that came out. It's like 2014. I didn't pull it up. I thought I did. Where the person says, "I'm a pedophile, but I'm not a monster," and then you had the whole people latch onto that I'm a non-offending pedophile, and then there's just recently that big talk of. I mean, they all look like feminists, and we say saying how pedophilia is a normal orientation, and it's just like, okay, so we can see the slippery slope how we got from I'm not a monster to normal kind of thing.
That was one of the things that's one of the things that I point out again and again is that oftentimes it's feminists that are doing this apologia for pedophilia. Yeah. And it's interesting because in the role of facilitating sexual abuse of children, women are frequently not the actual abuser, but they do in situations where it happens, they facilitate the abuse by gaining trust or giving access to a predatory male to a child. And, Jelaine Maxwell is a really good example of that, that she did participate in the sexual abuse of those girls too. But, she's just sort of a high profile example. But oftentimes it's like the mother, the stepmother, a babysitter, it's a female in that role. And, they don't get nearly as harsh a penalty as the actual male abuser. And we could even talk about how pathetic the penalties are for child sexual abuse across the board in the country. It should be wood chipper feet first if you're convicted of sexually violating a child. Yep. Unquestionable, because first of all, it's probably not the only child that you've ever sexually violated. And
they should at least neuter these fucking people.
Well, they used to, and then the ACLU, they used to neuter them with Lupron. the same drug they're giving is
They're
the
giving
puberty
to teenagers
blockers.
now. Yeah.
And
puberty blockers, yeah.
what happened is the ACLU said that it was like a human right or something to have an erection or something. So like they stopped giving
Everyone unusual.
Yeah, well, you lose that right when you use your erection, to fucking
in a wrong
hurt
way.
people.
To violate children. And on that note, I guess that's a good place to wrap it up. Everyone, you want to give your social medias? We can go around the world, tell people where to find you. Mr. JL, you want to start?
I'm JL Not Here on Twitter. Low profile, but sometimes spicy takes, even my shit posts, that you wouldn't expect a PhD to come up with. But like to have fun. That's what the internet's for. Don't take it serious.
I respect that and agree.
Daniel, you want to plug something? Where can people find you?
Who, me? Yeah, my Twitter handle, Dan Delafay. Pretty typical. And yeah, Dangerous Rhetoric. Follow us. Go on the website. All that
His
stuff.
thirst traps are on Instagram. You can watch him work out.
Thirst
Audra?
trap.
I'm Audra Warlow. I write for Ron Speak Publishing, and my handle is, there we go, right there on Twitter.
At Audra Wrong Speak, all one word, on X/Twitter. Mr. Brian?
I'm known as the Front Porch Conservative. I've got channels on YouTube and Rumble. You can find me on Twitter at the Front Porch C1. Please sub to my channel.
Miss Caitlin, where can people find you?
Hello, I am at KCope007 on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram, just my full name, at Caitlin Copenhaver.
Don't forget your website, CaitlinCopenhaver.com.
Yes.
Totally. She has amazing arts, all kinds of crazy things. You can check out past episodes with Caitlin for more coverage of her art stuff. Ruben, where can people find you?
Ruben Haynes, everywhere. And you Google Ruben Christopher Haynes. I use my real name for one thing. Fuck off, everybody else. I'm here to stand up. You can follow me. If you hate me, then I don't give a shit. Follow me. Let's do this stuff.
Spicy Ballsy. I don't even use my real name.
I do, and I do for the same exact reason that Ruben does.
I'll be the Jan Hancock of the next revolution. I'm done with this crap.
Yeah, I just own it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. Love you out there. Stay safe, stay sane. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And we'll be back again soon with another one, probably next weekend. Also, you'll see me probably Tuesday night on Mr. Brian's channel.
And new episode during the week.
And new episodes sometimes this week. Stay tuned. We love you. Stay safe.
See ya.
Bye.